This is a case of no news is not good news.
There goes Davis! Oh my God! Davis is going running all the way back! Auburn's going to win the football game!
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of War Eagle Weekly. How are we doing today, Josh?
I'm doing good, man. This is going to be a
Confusing
weird
intro.
topic.
Well, what we're talking about is going to be some recruiting news, and really there isn't much news, and so it's not really that good of news, but we do need to talk about it. We felt like we needed to talk about it. We feel like we can talk on some of this subject, but let's go ahead and jump right in. I want to first talk about the fact that we are now back in the top 10 on recruiting for the 2025 class at the number 6 class in the country. Feels good to be back in there. There's still quite a few SEC teams ahead of us, which is just one of the most baffling and ridiculous nonsense things out there. The fact that you can be the number 6 recruiting class in the country and still not be in the top 3 for SEC teams.
Yeah, I mean, recruiting is just such a competitive area. You know, it's going to fluctuate. People are going to get commits. People are going to decommit. People are going to flip. It's just one of those things. It's just, it's literally never friggin' ending. It's just this point in time, there's not much to talk about, which is a first for this season for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we're ramping up to a lot of these players are about to start playing their high school games this upcoming week. And some even started yesterday. We're recording this on the 17th of August. So some of them even started yesterday. But, with what we do have, and one of the reasons why we are the number 6 team in the country right now is we are the only school in the country that has multiple safeties that are committed to us within the top 100 players in the country.
Huge.
That is really huge. I mean, especially in this DJ Durkin defense where the safety sits so far back and evaluates the field, and you need somebody that can, when they need to make a move and when they need to read the defense, they're super smart. You need those players that are just some of your top end talents to be back there for sure.
Yeah, you need quarterbacks in the secondary, and from the sounds of it, Auburn is getting a few quarterbacks to play safety.
Yep, yeah, and not just that, but we also do have cornerbacks that are going to be playing cornerback, and that leads me to our next part that we wanted to talk about. We have the number 2 cornerback DB class in the country right now with Anquan Fagans, with Woodby, with I'm gonna butcher quite a few. I suddenly can't remember a single defensive back other than those 2 guys, but it just goes to show that this coaching staff has put a real big emphasis on recruiting that back end, which we're already very talented and very deep in.
Yes, it just, you can't have too much depth back there, in my opinion. I've been saying that all season long so far. It's just, you really can't. And we're still waiting on the number 2 corner in the class to make a final decision between Ohio State and Auburn and Naeem Offord. And it's looking real good for Auburn from all accounts.
Yeah. And you got to think that if we get his commitment, we should be able to jump Ohio State, which I can probably say not very many people have done that, especially at the defensive back position, because Ohio State has put a lot of them in the league.
And it's kind of crazy not to see LSU in that top 2 of the DB classes as well, because in my opinion, LSU is DBU.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. No, I agree, but there's only the fake Southerner is not long for Louisiana. I think some of his luster is starting to wear off. Don't get me wrong; he's got the number 1 quarterback in the class committed to him, so it's not like they're falling flat on their faces or anything like that. but I think there's definitely a different emphasis than what there used to be there at LSU. But let's move along to the offensive
Fake
side of all
Southerner.
the recruits that we have going on there. One of the ones that is looking more and more like a real possibility, Malachi Goodman, offensive tackle, 4-star.
Right in the thick of it.
But why not add more offensive tackles to the class, right?
Yeah, let's get it, man. I mean, we're battling Penn State and Georgia for his services. He's down to 3 schools. He had Alabama and Georgia on his list. Oh, actually, just updated. It's USC, Penn State, and Auburn as his top 3. Yeah. So I mean, that's good news for Auburn. Everyone knows that Auburn needs help on their offensive line, and we got a lot of seniors, a lot of upperclassmen. So I mean, if we can add Malachi Goodman, things are looking good, and it'd make me feel a lot better about Andrew Babalola as well.
Yeah, and well, I agree. Goodman is talked about. He wants to commit before the season, but it does look like he is a little bit more of a Penn State lean. But you can never really count this coaching staff out, and Coach Thornton has just been killing it on the offensive line part of recruiting. So, until something crazy happens, I'm always going to think that he's got at least some chance of getting these guys in there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't count Thornton out. You just can't. There's a lot of people say that their sources say that Auburn has the best offensive line unit and coach out of the 3 schools that he's considering.
But Ole Miss doesn't want Thornton. He's not a good enough coach for them. For Ole Miss.
Yeah, right. No one's good enough for Lane Kiffin. He's an enigma.
Yeah, he really is. But staying with the offensive line, let's just talk about Andrew Babalola, one of the highest rated offensive linemen in the country, 5-star Andrew Babalola. It really seems like this is one of those guys that he cares about academics so much. Yeah. And, I don't mind offensive linemen caring more about academics than they do football, but it definitely does seem like that is the case with him. And sadly, I don't think that bodes well for us. It kind of looks like Michigan has the better offer in the fact that they are a very prestigious school academically, as well as the fact that they just won the national title. So they're pretty damn good at football as well, even if they do cheat, which I maintain even to this day, they really didn't cheat that good, considering the fact that they got their ass whooped by Georgia the year that they played them and apparently was spying on them. So either way, Babalola, it looks like he's going to be choosing Michigan, but again, can't count this coaching staff out.
Nope. It's you can't really count you can't solidify anything in this recruiting cycle at all. Again, I reiterate, it's just a never ending cycle. These kids are going to change their minds multiple times. They're kids. Like us as adults barely know what we're going to have for dinner the next day, let alone these kids knowing what school they want to spend the next 3 to 4 years at. So, I mean, it's just, I do like Auburn's chances. I do agree with you. I think he's going to ultimately pick Michigan, but you can't count Thornton out. You just can't.
No, you can't. Well, speaking of not counting us out, let's talk about the player that everybody wants to get some good news on. Everybody wants to hear something good about him. Duce Knight has still not flipped from Auburn, even after Wilt Fong drops a Fong bomb saying that he believes that Duce Knight is going to flip to Auburn, even though all these recruiting services are telling us Duce Knight is going to flip to Auburn and that it's going to be on this date or that date. And one of our past episodes, you were like, if it's not this Tuesday, that's good news for Notre Dame. But nobody really freaking knows right now. And everybody is telling us, hey, it's just up in the air. Nobody freaking knows.
Well, I mean, it was good news for Notre Dame that he didn't flip that Tuesday because,
I guess
he's
that's
still
fair.
committed. He's still part of their class. But, I mean, there's so little information coming out about Duce Knight right now. It's insane. It could be the fact that he is, focusing more on his senior season coming up and watching film and just getting ready for the season. It could be that. It could be, a couple hangups here and there about what school he's going to ultimately choose. So it's just, this is one of those cases where no news could potentially be bad news or
Yeah.
not good news, as Cameron likes to put it. But I mean, it's just
Right.
one of those things. This is the commitment that you're going to have to wait for.
Yeah.
It's a painful wait. That's for sure.
And the thing is part of me is like, I really want him to commit and let's just get it over and done with. Let's get our quarterback on board. And then the other part of me is, one of my concerns with Duce Knight is what he did in his junior year of high school football, where he started out at a different school and then ended up flipping and going back to his school in Mississippi. And so I'm worried about his commitment level in that sense, and that, hey, maybe he thought that it was too hard. I don't know the circumstances. I haven't read too much on it. I just know that he flipped on his commitment, and so the fact that he is not taking this lightly, and that it is not
Easy decision.
easy decision for him, or I can never remember his first name, but Coleman, that flipped from Alabama to Auburn and then back to Antonio and then back to Alabama and now back to Auburn. I'd much rather what Duce Knight is doing, because when he flips, it's going to mean more and it's going to be a bigger deal. And so I'm okay with it, because it's showing me that he is not making a rash decision.
Yeah. It's definitely a calculated decision.
He wants to stick to his commitment. I really do believe that. But everyone is telling us he wants to play in the SEC. And so definitely, if you're going to do that, come to Auburn. Ignore lame Kiffin, as Josh liked to put it.
Please.
And on that shocking note, War Eagle Josh.
War Eagle, man.